Sometimes the most surprising thing about a chateau isn't its size, but the secret of how it survived. Out here in the heart of the French countryside, Château du Petit Thouars has weathered nearly 400 years of revolution, war, and change. Yet it stands today, thriving, vibrant, and very much alive. But there's nothing petit about this place. Not the family that's kept it standing since 1636. And certainly not the spirit of the man who walks its grounds today, Sébastien du Petit Thouars, the Count, and today our storyteller. And what he reveals about the bold decisions that saved his family's legacy when so many others lost everything cuts to the truth of chateau life, especially when modern challenges threaten even the strongest chateaus. If you're a castle lover or someone dreaming of rural France and believes that historic beauty needs to be preserved, like this video and subscribe. This is Saving Castles, and this is part 1 of our journey into Château du Petit Thouars. Château du Petit Thouars has seen nearly 4 centuries of wars, revolutions, and upheavals. Through it all, one family held their ground. Your family's been here for a very long time.
Yes, almost 400 years, so yes, you can say we are entering the category of, long stay.
Oh, long stay. You've got some fairly famous ancestors, at least they've been involved in pivotal parts of French history. And even American history.
Absolutely. If we start with the ancestor who bought the castle, his name was Georges Aubert de Saint-Georges. He was an aristocrat, and he was a military officer, and he was working for the Cardinal de Richelieu, the prime minister of the French King Louis XIII. So he was able to buy this property because he had successfully completed a mission that the Cardinal de Richelieu had given him to find alliances for France at a time when France was at war with Spain and Austria in the first half of the 17th century. So he bought this place and became Lord of Petit Thouars, then Count du Petit Thouars, and so now the name went from Aubert de Saint-Georges to Aubert du Petit Thouars de Saint-Georges.
Ah, how fascinating. The family's identity became fused with these walls. The architecture reveals it best. Scarred in places, rebuilt in others, but still standing. Is all the architecture we're looking at here, is it from the 16th and 17th century?
So most definitely this part, but the castle was initially built in the 1400s. So it's flamboyant Gothic flamboyant.
Yeah.
And then of course you can see that there was important restoration in the second half of the 19th century. So you can clearly see some neo-Gothic motives here and on the facade.
Would we assume that part of this wall was part of the 14th century?
Yes, yes, and then of course they must have redone some of the Gothic arcs in the 19th century.
Okay, and that's why we see that some are so weather-worn and the other is in such good condition.
Exactly. Here you see they had the coat of arms over there is the coat of arms of my great-great-great-grandmother.
Oh, okay.
And you can find it here as well. Our coat of arms is the long chainmail. Our coat of arms is the golden chainmail, the Aubert, on the azure back. And the other coat of arms is that of my great-great-great-grandmother. You see all those gargoyles. They put a lot of it into those neo-Gothic motifs, but the fact that the family has been living here for close to 400 years means that even if you can date different parts, it's very much integrated. Other castles sometimes have more different styles because of different ownership.
Interesting. Petit Thouars isn't a chateau locked behind velvet ropes. It's still a residence. The family lives here fully, with every floor inhabited and every room layered with memory. That's what gives the place its character. The restoration is not a reconstruction, but a continuation of the chateau's past. Generations have left their mark in the stone and in the rhythm of daily life. And that rhythm of living boldly inside history rather than simply preserving it is the same spirit carried by Aristide du Petit Thouars, an ancestor whose own life was defined by courage on a very different stage.
He's probably one of the ancestors you've heard about because he
Yes.
was a naval officer who...
For Napoleon.
Yes, and before that, he was a young midshipman who took part in the American Independence War. When France sent troops on
Yes.
foot with Lafayette, but also some ships, to the... And there was apparently a big battle in the Chesapeake Bay. I'm sorry.
Chesapeake Bay,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Aristide du Petit Thouars lived with a bold spirit, a life of adventure and courage cut short at the Battle of the Nile before he even turned 40.
It's incredible what he's done, and he died at such a young age during the Battle of the Nile, but he had been places, he had had a full life when he was not even 40, considering that in those days you either traveled on foot, horse, or you sailed.
Yes.
His ambitions stretched far beyond France. With his brother Louis-Marie, a naval officer drawn to botany, Aristide planned expeditions that captured the restless energy of their age. Voyages meant to test the edges of the map.
The brothers thought, okay, let's do this, let's explore. The spirit of the 18th century was also a spirit of freedom, exploration, discovery, science.
In a room that illustrates their lives side by side, we see the full picture of that restless drive. From preparing to claim new lands for the French crown to rescuing a Brazilian ship stricken with scurvy off the coast of Africa, Aristide lived as if the world was meant to be crossed. From the heights of grand expeditions, he fell into imprisonment, stripped of everything and left penniless, only to return again, bouncing back into service under Napoleon. An expedition to Egypt where Aristide would ultimately face his end.
He met his demise in a heroic way during the Battle of the Nile, having first his leg taken out by a cannonball and then his arm, and he literally fought till he bled to death.
Surrounded by panels of maps, battles, and voyages, you feel the arc of a man who refused to stop moving, no matter how many times the tide pulled him under. Aristide's audacity to explore, to endure, and to resist remains tied to this chateau. It is the inheritance of Petit Thouars itself. The architecture carries that same spirit, bold in its design, unwavering through the ages.
Tell us about this kind of almost, you'd call it a terraced area, or...
Yes, I think this probably was inspired by the more romantic parks of the 19th century with this idea, like this, all those trees you see there.
Yes.
We have maps of the castle, and in the 18th century they were probably more like French geometrical garden motifs.
Oh, really?
But in the 19th century they decided to, they started enjoying promenades, so you can actually walk down around the park
really?
through those woods, because the wall of the property is behind those woods.
So you have another coat of arms.
That's only ours this time.
Okay.
But also, clearly this was, from the drawings we have, we know that this was done in the 19th century.
Okay.
Yes. They redid the facade, they added this extension over there, with the
Yes.
balustrade.
Yes.
The chateau's facade may hold its beauty, but just above it the roof tells another story of storms, damage, and the constant fight every chateau faces against time and nature.
He had an unfortunate storm here not too long ago.
And in June 2022 we suffered a terrible hailstorm. Very quick but extremely intense. Iced golf balls destroying the vines, damaging the roof. I had seen small hail, which doesn't cause much damage.
Okay.
But this is like, it was, when we walk into the cellar, suddenly the electricity stopped and we hear boom, boom, boom. And so we opened the door of the cellar, just a little bit, and we started seeing this downpour of ice balls.
Even the great hailstorm left its mark here. Some damage, yes, but the chateau still stands, resilient as ever. That resistance feels like an echo of its ancestors, from Aristide onward, a proud strength ingrained in the chateau itself, even through the height of the terror in France.
There is still this undercurrent of we we resisted, you know.
Yes, and we're still resisting in our own way a little bit, maybe.
For all its history of survival, the story of Château du Petit Thouars lives on, and it keeps looking forward. Each generation carries the weight of the past while preparing the chateau for those who will come next.
I want to be the temporary custodian that is able, in a changing context, to still be able to pass it on to the next generation in good circumstances. Because, you know, passing it on is one thing, but you don't want them to deal with a stressful, complicated situation.
Boldness, courage, audacity, that's what it takes to hold a place like this through centuries of French history, through kings and revolutions, through wars that flattened whole regions. And yet, what we've seen today is just the surface. What waits inside, the stories, the rooms, the heartbeat of a family still living in these walls, that's next. We look through magnificent botanical illustrations that reveal another side of their legacy, a life bound to nature and discovery. And then the vineyards, risk, reward, and a name carried far past the Loire. Because sometimes courage isn't just about holding your ground. Sometimes it's about planting something that will outlive you. And here at Château du Petit Thouars, that story continues. Until then, if you've enjoyed this journey through history and heritage, join us for the next chapter. Like, subscribe, and keep following as we continue saving castles, one story at a time.